The difficulty with varroa mites. 2018 and 2019 I used Formic Pro, formic acid. 2018 it seemed to do okay. 2019 it didn't kill any of the varroa mites, it just killed 10% of my queens. So I switched to this Varroasis vaporizer. Yeah, you can read it, they haven't been cleaned up in a while. But anyway, oxalic acid, Varroasis vaporizer. And last November, it killed all the varroa mites in my colonies because this Formic Pro, formic acid, did not kill the varroa mites. So this basically, 2020 is my first year to use this oxalic acid. And it is October 11th today. I've done 3 treatments on my colonies. My first treatment was the second week of September. The second treatment was about 2.5 weeks later, almost 3, which maybe I should have done a little sooner. And then I did another treatment within a week after that. So it's been 3 treatments, and the last treatment was within a week of the second treatment. And what I've noticed is, because it does not kill the varroa mites in the cat brood, you continue to have issues with Varroasis. According to my videos, the first weekend of August was cool and wet, and the bees were all in the hives, and I should have done an oxalic acid treatment during the first week of August, but I didn't think it was necessary, and I was wrong. See, the trouble with this Formic Pro formic acid, it's going to be in the hives for a couple of weeks or so. I did the double 10 and 20 days, and you don't want it to get hot when it's in the hive because it would fumigate the hive and kill a lot of bees. And this oxalic acid, it's only in the hive for a few minutes, so it doesn't hurt the bees. But if it's hot outside and the bees are bearding on the front of the hive and you don't have a majority of your bees in the hive, it's really hard to do that. But I did have a good weekend where I could have done that, so I regret that I didn't do that. Because colony 10 here has shrunk down to a single deep. And this is the issue. You know, when you're beekeeping part-time and you have another job, a contracting business or whatever, trying to make money to pay your bills, you can't be a beekeeper full-time. In order to make a lot of money beekeeping, you got to have several hundred hives. I've got approximately 198 right now. I need a couple hundred, 200 or 300 before I can make money beekeeping and give up all my other occupations to make money. So I don't spend the time individually with my colonies that I should. This colony here, for some reason, it went from being a good-sized colony down to a single deep. And because I have the ability to stick my colonies in the window, see, they're in the window here. If they do end up having an issue and they get real small, I can manage them in the window. But it would be nice to be able to do something about it before they got small like this, but I just don't have the time to do it. So out here, I've been feeding for, not every day, I don't put syrup in every day. For the first few weeks it was just during weekends, but lately it's been every day. So I'm running out of places to get, I use the cane sugar from Domino, and the only place I can get is Walmart. And my last trip was Thursday, 3 days ago, and I didn't get enough, so I ran out of sugar. But I'm also assessing, easy way to assess the colony. If it needs more syrup, pick it up. If you can't pick it up, it's fine. That one's fine. This one here, it's not. You can pick it up. And then you also look, how many bees do you see there? See, I've taken away 4 colonies. One went in the window. I've taken away 3 colonies that went on my deck here because my goal is to have the smaller colonies on this deck here where I can just wheel them in during the winter when it's really, really cold. And sometimes I had these facing, this one facing the east, and I had that one facing the east. it's pointed at to try to keep the bees in this area because they were moved, and this one is facing west. But you're going to lose bees when you do this. And I've got 3 more spots up there in the window. Those are empty, those top deeps there, where I can put in colonies that are really small. And what you do is you assess. I don't see any bees here. And what you do is when you, a day or two before you get ready to put them in the window, you take this medium super off and you brush all the bees into the deep. And then the next day you put it in the window. And I think that one's going to go in the window. It's just, when you have so many colonies, 100 colonies, and you're trying to manage them, you do treatment to all colonies. You don't have the time to spend on each individual colony because you're spending time managing all of them. And all you can do is assess by looking at them. Are they doing all right? You don't have the time to do hive inspections like you should. And the ones that you don't see on bees, the bees on top of the hive, and you don't see bees going in and out very often, you know they're critical, they need help. And then, but luckily I've been finding queens in every colony that I've checked. So as long as they have a queen and you have a place to put them in the window like I do, you can manage to get them through winter. But it's not the ideal situation. I have another window here. I can get 6 more in there, so when I run out of these 3 spots and I need more spots, I go there to this window. So what I want to do now, and another issue I have with these stupid smartphones, my fingers are sometimes covered in wax or the rough, and I push the buttons on the screen and it doesn't always work. I like this mini DVD camcorder I bought years ago, 15 years ago. It's actually got buttons. And now it won't upload onto YouTube anymore, so I'm forced to use my wife's smartphone, and I don't like it. If I try to pause this and I keep pushing a button and it doesn't pause, it just irritates the hell out of me. So I'm going to try to pause it here in a few minutes, but what we're going to do is we're going to go down through here and we're going to assess which colony am I going to open to see if it's large enough to winter outside. I have 23 colonies in my south apiary that are still large enough to winter outside. They're doing very well. They've also had 3 mite treatments with oxalic acid. And I'm going to set those colonies on top of these colonies, but I don't want to set them on a colony that's not large enough to winter outside. So I have to assess them. And here's a good example. This is a 2019 colony that was left here at home. They've done very well this year. Even though I've taken frames from them for my mating nukes, they've done very well. And if you've checked my videos during the summer, what I've tried to do is, last year I fed SERP all summer, and it worked out well. The colonies grew fast. This last June, I tried doing the same thing, but robbing ended up being a problem. It was such a hassle, I stopped feeding SERP. And I thought, okay, I won't feed SERP. I would just get some extra bees and honey from my south apiary because I didn't have that in 2019, but I had it this year. And it worked a little, but I would say not feeding SERP all summer long really slows down a colony. If you have issues with robbing, you have to put in robber screens, and it becomes a hassle, so I didn't really want to do that. So anyway, I'm going to pause this here pretty soon. I'm going to pick a colony here. I'm going to open it up. And what I've noticed is when you start feeding SERP, they will put that SERP in all the cells around the brood chambers, and eventually they squeeze out any place the queen can lay on the top deep, and they never go down to the bottom deep. So basically you end up with this deep right here full of honey and very little brood. And if you have issues with varroa mites, so most of your bees are dying from Varroasis, the queen doesn't have very much brood left to get winter bees for the winter. And this bottom deep right here is basically empty. They don't put any SERP down there. They don't have any brood. The queen doesn't go down there. And the other issue is I've had a lot of queens this year and previous years that want to lay in the medium super. Now that I have extra queen excluders, next year I'm going to start putting queen excluders in and get them down, because I always thought, try to let the bees do what they want, let it be natural, but bees are stupid. They don't do what they should. The queen should go down. She shouldn't be up in here. That restricts her amount that she can lay, amount of brood, and the colony's strength ends up being hurt because of that. So let me pause this and I'm going to open up a colony. Okay, this is colony 54, and they're not as large as they should be, but keep in mind it's 2 o'clock or a little after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so a lot of the bees are out foraging. There's still some brood in here. But you see they're putting syrup into cells where the brood is. So it's kind of restricting where the queen can lay. I did see the queen. There's the queen. So I'm not losing queens. What is happening is, by me feeding them syrup, making sure they have enough honey to get through winter, it's restricting the area that the queen can lay. And I've actually had a negative effect on my colonies by feeding them syrup. You wouldn't think that would happen, but that's what has happened. I think maybe I ought to not feed syrup anymore. And hopefully maybe they will empty out some of those cells and the queen can continue to lay. See, look. This is next to the frame that has the brood. There's only 2 frames of brood in this colony. It's full of syrup. And what's in the bottom deep? Well, certainly there aren't any bees. Look at that. They're not even working on filling out the frames. This is sad. This colony cannot winter outside this winter. It's going to be downsized to a single deep and it's going to be brought inside. But this is a new colony, 2020, and when I gave them extra bees, I didn't give the same amount of bees to all the colonies, and apparently this one here didn't get a lot. It didn't help. So downsizing they go, and that's just the way it is. The bees, they'll put syrup in the areas where the queen's supposed to be laying, and that will slow down the growth of the colony. So sometimes feeding is a negative thing, and I guess I learned a lesson here. So here it is, October 10th or so, and I really don't think this colony has much chance to get any larger. Okay, thank you.